Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas are set to meet with the President of Mexico tomorrow. It comes as 8,000 migrants head towards our southern border. It is the biggest caravan so far this year, and it's growing. Griff Jenkins spoke with the activist accompanying the caravan, and he joins us now. Griff, good morning to you. What did he say to you?
Well, good morning, and his name is Luis Villagrán, and he has been organizing caravans ever since I went for Fox and covered and traveled 7,000 miles through both Honduras, Guatemala, all of Mexico. This caravan's just left Tapachula, which is in the southernmost part of Mexico with the border with Guatemala, and he organized one in 2018, 2019, and several since, and he believes that migrants should have a path to the U.S., and the U.S. should do more to help migrants from countries where there is this credible fear threat, and this caravan of 8,000 may be larger because as they go through Mexico, more will gather up. Because remember, there's a pipeline full of migrants. It's not just the 8,000. We get 5, 6, 8, 10,000 a day all across the border. But this caravan is largely Cubans and Haitians, countries with which we have offered TPS, temporary protective status, various times, and Hondurans, not so much there with the TPS thing. But he wants to get ultimately close to Mexico City, where Mayorkas and Blinken will feel pressure.
Yeah.
There's migrants on the way, and they want to see the U.S. extend more opportunities for migrants to come to the U.S.
Well, I was reading that this caravan, they're holding signs that say Exodus from poverty. So he's talking about credible fear threats, but that shows that a lot of these people are coming to the United States for economic reasons. And I believe that he's the same guy who told the BBC, I thought this quote was so interesting. He said, the problem is that the southern border with Guatemala is open, and 800 to 1,000 people are crossing it daily. If we don't get out of Tapachula, the town will collapse. So even he, leading this group of illegal immigrants, is acknowledging that they're causing a major economic problem in southern Mexico. And he's also talking about the fact that the border between Mexico and Guatemala is wide open.
It is, and literally there's a river, the Suchiate River separates Guatemala and Mexico there, and they literally pay like 5-10 pesos to cross on a raft, and they're there, and there's literally no Mexican immigration police there to stop them. And in the town of Tapachula, which has become this hub for migrants, they don't allow them to work. They'll set up in the streets and try and make ends meet before they ultimately make their journey north to the U.S. But here's the dirty secret, and here needs to be the focus of Mayorkas and Blinken's conversations with Mexico, and that is Mexico is a transit country. They want the migrants who all want to go to the U.S. to get jobs to just move them quickly, move it along, move quickly through. But so many have descended on Tapachula, because that's where they start, that it's become an economic drag on Tapachula itself, which is a pretty big city in southern Mexico. And so I think what you're going to see is activists like Villagrán become louder and louder because they've got leverage here, because they're putting pressure on the Mexican government, which, by the way, is out of money. The INM, the Mexican immigration folks, they've run out of money. That's part of the reason why they're not helping so much. So Blinken and Mayorkas are going to lean on Mexico to try and do more, even though they're out of resources, while our border resources are stretched to points we've never seen before.
Okay, so what is your expectation for this meeting between Mayorkas, Blinken, and Mayorkas, Blinken, and the Mexican president?
Obrador.
Excuse me.
Yeah, Obrador. Well, I think, look, Obrador is outgoing. He's done after his 6 years, and under the Trump administration, we threatened very harsh economic
Yeah, and they had a good relationship, Obrador and Trump.
This administration has not threatened that.
Yeah.
And I think Obrador is going to ask for the U.S. to do more in the way of granting asylum to migrants like Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela, right? They're all coming from countries that the U.S. has no repatriation agreements with, although we've begun to send some back to Venezuela under a special agreement. But I think Obrador is going to do everything he can to keep them moving, like I said, as quickly as possible so that they don't become a drag on Mexico's economy. In the U.S., by the way, we were reporting last week, the Center for Immigration Studies put out that 3 in 5, 59% of illegal alien households are on welfare in the U.S. So Mexico doesn't want that problem with the illegal aliens in their country.
So if, it's just final question here, but if illegal immigration is becoming a drag on the Mexican economy, then why doesn't Obrador just shut down the southern border between Mexico and Guatemala? It seems like such a simple solution.
Because he doesn't have the resources, and he doesn't want to do something.
He doesn't have the Border Patrol resources?
He doesn't have the resources internally to do it. And that's in fairness to Mexico to make that point. But ultimately, there's also the political part of it, which is he doesn't want to be seen as being negative towards these migrants. He wants to be the, open arms. We welcome you on your journey, not to Mexico, to the U.S.
Yeah, the Mexican political calculation is an important part of the story that's never discussed. So interesting to hear. You know so much about it, Griff.
I've spent a lot of time.
Yeah, you certainly have.
In the first caravan, the migrants called me the El Gringo Pollero, which is basically someone that would move the caravan along. And I'll tell you, by the way, a final point, and that is Auden Cabello, Mexican independent journalist I spent a lot of time with in Eagle Pass a few weeks ago. He's interviewed a lot of the migrants on the Mexican side, and he says none of them mention credible fear. All of them mention jobs.
Well, it's a complex topic.